So earlier this week, our town manager was here on Barnstable this morning talking a little bit about the Community Compact Cabinet. And one of the best practices that's going to be highlighted in that application is has a lot to do with your department, excuse me, and an effort to make our financial transactions a little more transparent. So I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about what's in the works and what people can expect out of this new program.
Sure. What we're looking to do here, Sarah, is to make our operating and capital budget more transparent for the general public and anybody out there outside the organization that wants to see, where Barnstable allocates its resources to, what departments, what programs, what capital projects, and what are the sources of those various revenues to fund those items. So we've been exploring different software vendors to try to find one that best illustrates what the town of Barnstable's budget would look like. Obviously, one of the things we can't do is give everybody in the public access to our Munis financial management system for security reasons.
Of course.
That would be that's the source of all this information. So there's a lot of companies out there now who have made a living out of providing a solution that takes information from your financial management system and uploads it into their program, which allows a user to go. It's a web-based program, and the user can go on the web and they can call up either the revenue side of the budget, the expenditure side of the budget, the capital budget, and drill down to various levels depending upon how sophisticated we produce an export file, and they'll be able to look at where resources are allocated.
Indeed. And so how detailed are you expecting to go with what we're doing here in Barnstable?
Well, for example, on the expenditure side, we're looking at providing everybody an opportunity to look at either general fund budget or any one of the 8 enterprise fund budgets. And then within the general fund budget, for example, they could drill down into any department that they wanted to look at, whether it be the school department, the police department, the community services department. And then within that department, they'll be able to drill down into the various divisions. Like, for example, in the community services department, perhaps they want to look at the golf division or the Hyannis Youth and Community division. And then within each division, there are several programs, and they'll be able to drill down to the program level and see what the budget looks like and how it's tracking against the budget. That's another key component of this, is we want to illustrate on a month-to-month basis how the budget is tracking actual versus budget for the current year, as well as how that compares to the 2 previous years, so that anybody who's interested in following that will have the opportunity to do so.
Indeed. And of course, Mark, I'm thinking about all of the information that already is available to our residents, whether it be through the publication of the operating and the capital budget, the financial sheets that appear in our annual report, to the comprehensive annual financial report, which is also available online. Folks do already have an opportunity to see kind of where things are budgeted. So talk to me a little bit about how this is going to further enhance our residents' understanding of how we're spending money here in town.
Sure. Well, the big difference between this new initiative and those reports those are static reports. Those are as of a point in time, and they're a little complicated. Let's be honest. I mean, they're not the greatest things to sit there and reread, but for the average person. So the big difference is that this initiative will be a live database. It'll be updated on a regular basis, and so people can go in and track on a month-to-month basis and see how the revenues are performing against what was estimated for the year, and watch each individual budget and see how the budget's performing against its allocation for the year, and that'll be updated on a regular basis. So that's the big difference, and it'll be easier, more friendly. It's a more friendly tool to navigate because it's all done on the web with a point and click of a mouse. And for example, one of the nice features, one of the features we're looking to implement, which I think would be nice, would be the capital program will allow a user to look at a map of the town of Barnstable, and there'll be pins dropped around that map showing where the capital improvements are located, so they can get a sense as to where the town's capital program is taking place, so they can see in their particular neighborhood if there's a capital improvement that is planned. They'll be able to perhaps click on that pin and read a description as to what that project entails, and to see what stage that project is in, whether it's in the planning stage, the bid stage, the construction stage, and so on. So this is a much more interactive tool that's updated on a regular basis, as opposed to a thick, static, report that's issued once a year.
Great, and I love the map idea. I think that that'll give people a really good sense of, as you say, where the capital projects are taking place, and really how everything is dispersed throughout town.
Yes, yes.
So what's involved in putting this together, and how far away are we from a launch date for this program?
Well, we have to design first of all, we have to design what we want it to look like, and then find a vendor that can do that for us. And that's the stage we're in right now. We're conceptualizing what we want to provide the public, and then we've been looking at different software programs to see what they can do and whether or not they can meet what we're looking for as far as our needs. And so that's the stage we're in right now. And then we plan to we're going to test this out internally for a couple of months to make sure that we've got all the bugs and kinks worked out of it. We're going to have to create an export file that can be easily done with a few pushes of a few buttons out of the Munis system. We don't want to have to, because we're going to update this on a regular basis. We don't want to have somebody have to sit down and spend an entire day or two creating an export file to send to a vendor to put on the web. And so we have to design that export file to make sure that it can be done quickly and efficiently. And then we hope to have this rolled out to the general public by the end of this calendar year.
Great. So certainly a lot of work remains in the next few months. Mark, I can see not only for our residents to be able to get a better look at the budget, but I think for those of us who work for the town of Barnstable to get an understanding of how everything works and is connected, I think it'll be a good resource for our town employees as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, because the first, after we test it out internally here in the finance division, we'll roll it out to all the departments internally and have them use it and give us feedback as to what they think works well, what doesn't work well, before we roll it out to the public. And so, because like you just said, I think it would be a great tool for our internal managers to review as well. It gives them another vehicle that complements the Munis system as far as monitoring their budget. We're hoping to have that it provides that as well, so that they can quickly go on the internet, check their budget against how it's tracking on a month-to-month basis, as opposed to having to log into Munis and produce reports out of Munis.
Any concerns, Mark, about having all of this information so easily accessible to the public and to our residents?
No, not at all. I mean, I think this is the way municipal finance is going in this direction. I believe you're going to see a lot more of this, and it's just creating, I think it's a great education tool, especially if you want to get people interested in their local government. You got to give them the tools to make them interested, and I think this tool with the age that we're in these days and the way everybody likes to use the internet, I think this tool will engage people, hopefully, and get them more involved and interested in how their local tax dollars are spent.
Absolutely, and people are always so curious about where the money is going and how it is being used, so I have no doubt that this will be a very popular program for our residents of the town of Barnstable.
I hope so.
Great. Well, Mark,